Hey guys, Persistent Programmer here and welcome back to my channel. So in this channel we solve a lot of algorithms and go over Leetcode questions. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, smash that like button because that helps me create this content for you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at today's problem. Today we're looking at the problem product of array except self, and here we're given a list of nums and what we need to return is the product of each of the numbers except that number itself. So if we're at 1, we need to return the product of 2 times 3 times 4, which is 24. If we're at 2, we need to return the product of what's before it, so the 1, and then 3 times 4, which is 12. So this is how we need to process this input and create this resulting list with the output of that product. Okay, so since we cannot use the division operator, what we need to do is take the product of the number before it, and then take the product of the numbers after it, and then multiply the two to get the final product. So we can divide this problem and we can take two more lists, where one list we just take the product of the left side. So if I'm at 3, the product of the left side before me is 2, right? So 2 times 1 is 2. So I will put it in this position. And then after 3, I only have one number. So I will put that in the same position. And then we get our final result by simply multiplying the product of the left side times the product of the right side. Awesome. So I've created this left product list and the right product list with the same number of elements as in nums. Oh, let me define n here. So n is going to be equal to len of nums. And I've also created a result list with the same number of elements. And now what I'm going to do is go over this left product list and create this left product by multiplying. I'm going to take, so yeah, they're all padded with 1s. So let's write this. So for I in range, so we're going to start from 0, we're going to start from 1 because 0 we want it to be a 1 already because there's nothing before it. So the product of the left side of this is going to be 1. So 1 and then 1 to n, and we are going to say that the left product of this is equal to, so left product at that position, so remember at every position we're going to put a value, so that is going to be equal to the product of the previous number. So if we are at 3, we want to take the previous product, which is this, whatever these two are, 1 times 1, and then multiply it over here with this 2. So that's how we get our position. In this position 3, the left product is 2 because 2 times 1 is 2. So to do that, we are going to say that, hey, take the previous left product. So left product at the index of I minus 1, and this is how we are navigating this previous position here, right? So I minus 1 times the number that is before it, so times n minus 1 times, nums at I minus 1. Okay, so this gives us the position of the previous element in the list. And this gives us the position of the previous left product. So again, let's do another example here. So if we are at this last position, what I want is the previous left product, which is already stored here, times the product of this previous number. So 3 times 2 is 6. So that's how we are getting the left product. So let's do a print of the left product just to make sure we are getting the correct values here. Okay. Okay, yeah, so we are getting these correct values, so that's fine. We got our left side now. Now we will do the processing for the right products. Okay, so to find the right product, what we need to do is iterate the list backwards. So at position 4, there is nothing to the right of it, so we'll just put a 1 here. And then for position 3, what we need to do is take the previous right product and then multiply it with the number that is right to that. So 4 times 1 is 4. So this is how we're going to get the position of the right side of each element. And then finally, what we need to do is just multiply the right product and the left product of each of the items. So we will multiply this side of 3, which is in this position, 2, and then we will multiply this side of 3, 4, which is in this position, 4. So we just need to multiply the left and right products together. Okay, so let's finish up the code for this. Okay, so to get the right product, what we're going to do is iterate the list backwards. So I will say for I in range, and we're going to go n minus 2 here, because what we want to do is iterate from one position before, because we know that the right product of 4 is 1 already, so we can just leave that 1 there, the -1 and -1. And what we want to do is say right product equals, so at each position, what we're going to do is we are going to put the next right product. So if we're at 3, we want to take what is the right product of this. So 4 here, and then we want to multiply it by the previous right product, 1. I hope that makes sense. So let's take another example. So if we are at 2, what we want to do is take this 3 here and multiply it to the previous right product, which is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. So that's how we're getting the correct right product in that position. So we want to take right product at the index of I plus 1, because remember we're moving in the next position here. So right product of I plus 1 times the number at the next position. So to review here, if we're at 2, we want to take this number here. So we want to get 3 and the previous right product that was already stored in that position 4. So 3 times 4, we're getting 12. Okay, so let's print this and make sure we're getting the correct value here in the right product. Okay, run code. Okay, yeah, so we are getting the correct values here. Awesome. So what we need to do now is literally take the product of the left and right side. So for each position, we are going to multiply this previous product and the next product and get our final res here. So I will say for I in range, we are going to go from 0 to n. And what we're going to do is populate this res list. So res at the index I is going to be equal to the product of the values in its left product and right product list. So left product at the index I times right product at the index I. Okay, and we are going to return res. Okay, wrong code. Okay, awesome, accepted, and then submit. Yay, success. Now what we're going to try to tackle is this follow-up prompt where they ask, can you solve this problem in O of 1 extra space complexity? The output array does not count as extra space yet, so we are returning a result list here. So that does not count as extra space complexity. Okay, so to achieve this, what I've done here is I have created this, I've set this left product variable to 1 and the right product variable to 1 as well. And what we're going to do is first store the values in the result list, the res list, and we are going to go to each position in this list and just multiply it by the previous position. So we're just going to create this list in place in the res list. Okay, so it's gonna get a little bit more clear once I convert this code to do that. Okay, awesome. So what I've done here is I'm iterating over all the elements in this list, and what I'm going to do is set the result at that position to the left product. So we know that the first left product is going to be 1 here because there's nothing before this. And then the trick here is to keep updating the left product with the position of the nums we're on. So what this means is at first we will have 1 here, right? Because there is nothing else. And then what we're doing is multiplying over this nums. So nums at index 0 is 1, right? So in the next iteration, what we're doing is setting it to this 1 here. And what we're doing after that is we are taking this current position we're in, so this is when n is 1, right? And we're creating this left product where we're multiplying the previous value of the left product, which is 1, times the 2 here, right? So that's how we're creating this list here. And then the last thing we do is we take this 3, right? And we are multiplying that 3 over with this 2, and that's how we're getting a 6. So I hope you can see what the trick is here, which is basically taking that previous element in that position and multiplying it over and then setting it in the next iteration. So I hope that makes sense. That's how we're generating this list. I know this is not something that would just be obvious, and I was not able to do this solution myself, but I can see what the trick is to do this in place by just taking that previous value in this step and then just setting it to that res index up here. Awesome. So what we've done here is we have populated our res with the left product here. And what we need to do now is populate and multiply over the right product to get the final answer. So to do this, we will iterate over this res list backwards and populate our right product. So I set the padding of the right product to 1 so that the first index here going backwards is 6 times 1 because there is nothing after 6. And then we're going to use a reverse for loop to do this. So I will write the reverse for loop. So for I in range n minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. Okay, so what we want to do here, so first of all, we will set the result list by multiplying this over with the right product. And in the first iteration, this is going to be 1. So this is how the list will be. So we will have a 1 times whatever is in the previous res. So it's going to be 6 here. So now again, remember we're going backwards. So this is how it will look, right? And in the next step, what we need to do is store that. So we're using a similar trick here where we are taking this right product and we are multiplying it over with the value in our num. So here what's going to happen is we will have this value 4, right, when n is 0. And what we need to do is set it to nums I, right? So when I is 0, we will pick up this value and multiply it to our previous right product. So remember, the previous right product is 1, right? Because we start at 1. So we are doing 1 times 4 here, right? So we have this value 4 saved. And what we're going to do in the next iteration is multiply it over with this 2. So I hope you can see how we're getting these values here in this list, right? So we basically stored that previous num's value here to multiply it over in the next iteration. So that's how we are multiplying things over. Okay, so our previous right product was 4, and now what we're going to do in this iteration is multiply it by 3, right? So we will have 3 times 4, which is 12. And then, so we have this stored value here of 12. And then what's going to happen is we are going to multiply that over with this res. So 12 times 1 is 12 here. Okay. And then for the last iteration, our right product was 12. And then we're going to multiply that with the 2 here, which will give us 24. And then we are going to multiply this over with our 1 here, which is 24. And this is how we are getting our final res. And the last thing we need to do is return the res. So return res. And yeah, that should work. Let's give this a run. Okay, accepted and submit. Okay, awesome, success.